In times when we can pull a video game, why do we still turn to movies? Why do we want to date a vamp than a heroine? Why do we wish death upon villains who never harmed us? When the curtains come down, why do we still want to install the largest screens at our homes? Perhaps we can never get enough of movies, so we wish to take them home and own all its fantasies. Some call cinema magic, some call it reality, and to millions it's a dream that fulfills the darkest desires. Movies represent hope because in the three darkest hours of our lives, they shine light.
As per the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, the Indian media and entertainment industry is projected to reach $100 billion in the next 8 years, that is 3 times the current value, which means more jobs and opportunities for media students.
Okay.
Yep.
I think we are good to go.
Yeah, because Professor Rakesh and Shindaman, so are we going to have this meeting like this right now? Because I can't see you people. Oh yeah, I can see Rakesh now. Yes. So yeah,
Just
Giri.
give us a minute. Just give us a minute.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Kailash.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. I can't see you unfortunately, but
You can see, Kailash.
I'm Dr. K.N.B. Murthy.
oh yes, of course. Yes. Now I can see you, sir. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Professor Giri.
Afternoon, sir. Afternoon. How are you?
It's already late. Where's Arjun?
He's looking for universities, right? Maybe he's held up there.
You look so tense. By the way, did you get to choose the university?
No, I'm unable to find a university that meets my requirements.
Whoa. Meet your requirements? What exactly are you looking for?
I'm looking for a place that gives me an opportunity to grow, to excel, to invent, and to innovate. I want to be a part of an institution that paves my way to discover myself and to witness the world moving forward in technology. I want to go to a place that sets a futuristic pattern of education filled with ideas and radical performances. Basically, I want to live my dream.
Dayanand Sagar University. Live the dream.
Okay, we are good to go live.
Okay.
A very good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon.
A warm welcome to all the students, especially the ones who have been writing back to us based on various inquiries done with Dayanand Sagar University to understand more about careers in journalism and mass communication. It's been a time we have been getting this kind of request, and we said it will be good if we could host a campus info session, an open house where we could talk to some of our senior faculties, talk to some of our industry friends, and bring an overall perspective of what does it take for the aspiring students to make a career in journalism and mass communication. So here we are today afternoon talking about what does it take. It's a good opportunity for aspiring students to know about the specialized programs, career choices, internships, job opportunities. A warm welcome to all our distinguished speakers for the day, and a special welcome to the moderator of the program, Mr. Rahul Garbude. Before we go on to the speakers, I'd like to take the opportunity of introducing the Honorable Vice Chancellor, who's also the guest speaker, and would start the session by sharing his views and setting the context. After which, we will hand over the program to the moderator of the program, who's Mr. Rohit. So here I take the opportunity of introducing our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. K.N.B. Murthy, sir. He is the Professor of Computer Science Engineering and the Vice Chancellor at Dayanand Sagar University, Bangalore. Sir has been the former Vice Chancellor of PES University, Bangalore. Sir holds a bachelor's degree in electrical power engineering and a master's degree in electrical engineering from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and a PhD in computer science and engineering from IIT Madras. Sir has worked as a research specialist in parallel computing at New Mexico State University, US, and is currently the member of Karnataka State Higher Education Council and the Academic Senate member of IIIT Dharwad. Sir, a warm welcome to you. And I would like to invite you to share the opening remarks and set the context, after which we will then hand over it to the moderator, Mr. Rohit. I would like to invite the Vice Chancellor, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Shinde. Respected co-panelists, the aspirants, and also the organizing team. The Dayanand Sagar University has been conducting several campus info sessions on various programs of study being offered in the university. These campus info sessions are organized to create awareness among the aspirants to get complete information about a program of study and make an informed choice. Most importantly, these info sessions shall have the experts from the industry and also the experts from various domains where they're using the program of study and also share their experience so that you will have a fair idea with regard to the program of study. The experts would tell you more about the options that are there. All that you need to know is 2 or 3 important things before the session is going to start on the journalism and mass communication. All of us are aware mass communication is basically spreading the information to a larger audience through various communication channels. What are the communication channels? The communication channels, there are plenty, but every day it's growing. The idea is to give the right information in a balanced format, in a balanced way, so that the audience would get the right view of the subject. The communication channels could be the radio, the television, advertising, newspapers, filmmaking, magazines, and several. I think experts would tell you more about that. And there are also multiple ways of giving this information. It could be in the form of investigation kind of type, or it could be broadcast kind of a type. It could be opinion, it could be pertaining to entertainment, it could be multiple. All that you need to understand about this program of study is that this is being regarded, journalism and mass communication is regarded as one of the important components of everyone's life. This is going to play a major role. Hence, it is being respected all over the globe, including India. Second, the career opportunities are simply becoming exponential with a very passing day. The opportunities are going to be plenty. They're going to be exponential. They're going to be much higher than what we are thinking at this point of time, because a lot more channels are being created, a lot more paths are being created, pathways are possible now. Therefore, the job opportunities are going to be plenty in this sector. Second, you also need to know is with regard to which area is going to suit your way of thinking, your way of working. That is one area which you need to clearly indicate at the beginning. It could be what you like most. Is it one is the channel, the other one is the type. Is it PR? Is it radio? Is it television? Which is good, the kind of type that you like most. That's one thing you need to decide. Second, is it investigative type? Is it the entertainment type? Which one you like most? That's the other thing which you need to decide. What's your passion? Then you also need to understand this particular area requires a lot more reading, a lot more understanding of the concepts, because it requires a very high level of knowledge compared to other professions, because you need to be knowing everything much ahead. You need to have the right information so that you'll be able to give the correct perspective to the people. Therefore, you need to have the talent and the passion for doing that. The other thing that you also need to understand is with regard to the rigors of study. How much of effort you need to put in. Though it appears to be simple, it's not so. There's a lot of reading to happen, a lot of kind of discussions to take place, understand the right perspective, understand the right thing, and obviously put the whole thing in your own way. Therefore, you need to create that, what I call it as signature of your way of doing things, and a stamp of doing things. Means each one of you need to be unique in terms of whatever you're going to do. Otherwise, if you get into the normal mode of things, it's very difficult for people to make an impact. To make that impact, two things are required. One is you need to be innovative and you need to be relevant. In innovation plus relevance is normally the impact. Therefore, it's necessary for you to create that impact. You need to develop your own way of doing things, your way of either it could be writing or it could be communication. You need to create that particular. People should immediately understand this must be from so and so. That stamp has to be created. Therefore, this particular thing requires a lot of effort on your part. Therefore, you must be ready. That's exactly what I meant by the rigors of study. Rigors of to create that stamp. It's going to take long hours of study, long hours of understanding, long hours of discussion with lots of people, talk to experts, and create that the kind of knowledge base where you will be able to articulate really well. That's what makes you to stand out in the profession. The last thing that you also need to understand is, so what are the cost involved in doing this program of study? It's going to be about 4 years with the exit options. exit at the end in the first year, second year, third year, and fourth year. Obviously, it's an honors degree. With the new education policy in place, it's a possibility that you can complete your 3 years, 4 years of program with a honors degree. Therefore, you understand everything quite well. And also, one other thing that you need to keep in mind is that pure knowledge in journalism, mass communication may not be the required kind of thing at this point of time. It requires one additional, two additional expertise in other domains. In other words, a multidisciplinary kind of thing is going to be important. Therefore, you understand all these points quite well. At the end of this session, after the experts talking to you, you get a fair idea with regard to about this program study, the opportunities, the kind of thing that you can do so that you stand out in doing all these things and contribute to the wellness of the society. Yes, it's very, very important to ensure that the society is well informed, is very happy with the information given to them, and they also think that the information is very authentic. These are the kinds of things which are going to make you to be considered as a special in the programs. With these few words, I invite the experts to tell you more about this. At the end of the session, I'm sure we will have a lot more information to decide and how to go about it. And knowing all these things well in advance will give you a fair idea with regard to the, therefore you can prepare really well before joining. I wish each one of you best of luck, and I thank the organizers for inviting me to be a part of this event. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for setting the context, your opening remarks. I hereby would like to invite the moderator, Mr. Rohit. Over to you.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of College of Journalism and Mass Communication, I thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. K.N.B. Murthy, for sharing an insightful summary of Dayanand Sagar University, indeed the best emerging university. Thank you, sir, for also setting the stage for today's webinar, Beyond the Headlines, on careers in journalism and mass communication. Dear friends, I'm Rohit Garbode. I'm your moderator for the rest of today's session. Let me remind you of the wonderful panel we have with us today. Dr. K.N.B. Murthy, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Dayanand Sagar University, award-winning ad guru, senior advertising professional Kailash Sarban, award-winning documentary filmmaker and former Dean of College of Journalism and Mass Communication, Professor Rakesh Katare, and Professor Giri Kurichiyat, TV professional with 11 years experience in channels like Bloomberg, Times Now, and CNBC, who is now teaching at CJMC DSU. Today's webinar is really speaking an interaction, a Q&A format. Anyone from the audience can post the question on the chat box. I shall keep monitoring the chat box and read out your question to the panelists of your choice. But before we begin the Q&A session, I request our panelists to tell us why they think that career in media is most exciting and satisfying of all. Over to you, Professor Rakesh.
Oh, you have to start with me. Okay. Well, there is a saying, very old saying about media and journalism, in fact, says that, journalism is most fun you can have with your clothes on. This is one of the things. The whole media career is a creative area. It's a creative area. You're every day you're meeting people. Every day you're doing something creative. Every day it's it's pulsating. It's nerve-wracking, and it's time-bound. It's driven by deadlines, and therefore there's never a dull moment for any person pursuing any sector of media. So I think definitely, to me, I think there is no other career in my view. For some time, I thought maybe law was equally interesting, but I don't think there is a career that is half as exciting as a career in media. or any of its allied sectors. So communication is the place to be. And I think, communication does drive the world.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So now over to Ad Guru, our senior advertising professional, Mr. Kailash Sarman.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Hi. Thanks for having me. Very briefly before the Q&A. As Rakesh just said that he actually stole my line. Okay, it's like advertising is the most fun that you can have with your clothes on. It used to be, it still is, but in phases, all right? But advertising is also referred to as the world's second oldest profession. I will not mention what the oldest is, all right? Because if you go back to several millennia, several centuries, you will see advertising in some form or the other. Right from Mark Antony's friends, Roman countrymen, lend me your ears. He wanted to advertise himself because he wanted the Romans to listen to him, because right from that time to every single part of history, advertising has played some role or the other. Now, let's not take advertising as just the word advertising and box it into a TV commercial or a print ad or a social media post or whatever. Advertising is, in its broadest, if you're looking at it from a business, a marketing point of view, the definition I like giving is that advertising is something which makes you buy or use or experience something that you do not want. Because if you want something, you don't need advertising, no? For example, if I'm a thumbs up drinker, I don't need advertisements to convince me to drink thumbs up. Even though, just as an aside, my brother has been responsible for all the thumbs up ads in the last 10 years. He is the person who wrote the line, Aaj kuch tufani karte hain. All right. But I don't like thumbs up. I am a Coke drinker. So no amount of advertising with Salman, Akshay in Morocco will convince me to drink thumbs up, because I know what I bloody want. All right. So advertising is, but if I go to a supermarket, I don't find Coke, what is my second option? That is when advertising is most effective. Which ad stuck to my mind recently? Was it Pepsi? Was it Thumbs Up? Or was it some other drink? Because if I'm a Coke drinker, I'm going to drink Coke. If you're an Amul butter user, you're not going to look at Britannia butter. So on and so forth, right? If you're a Maruti user, you will only upgrade to every subsequent model of Maruti. You will not even look at a Hyundai. I think I made my. Then why do we need advertising? Why are clients wasting hundreds and thousands and millions of crores on that on this business, signing every possible celebrity? It's because 20 years ago things were damn simple, man. Celebrity advertising was not that popular. We had TV and we had one channel, which was Doordarshan. We had 3 or 4 mainstream newspapers and some few magazines. All right. So it was very simple. Media was not fragmented. Certain products would only go in newspapers and not even magazines, only newspapers, because vernacular medium. Certain ads would go only in magazines, not newspapers. Doordarshan was the last choice. Radio was extremely popular. Hoardings, outdoor hoardings was extremely popular. Life was very simple in advertising those days. All right. We never said that one message has to talk across and talk through various medium. Okay, a radio spot will only speak through radio. A TVC will only speak through TVC, so on and so forth. But now things have gotten majorly buggered for people who practice advertising like me. I don't know. I mean, when a client comes and tells me that they want a media plan, it has to be as focused as possible. Social media, as we all know, I don't need to talk about social media as to the importance of social media. But what works on a Twitter will be a disaster on Instagram, and vice versa, because the target audiences are so diverse, right? On product advertising is a brilliant way of reaching you without the interface of a screen. I'll give you a brilliant example done a few years ago. Lintas, one of the largest and the oldest agencies in this country called Lowe, their largest client even today is Hindustan Levers. And Kisan Ketchup is one of their largest clients. All of us know Kisan Ketchup, right? What they did was that at that point in time, they had no money for advertising. A creative guy just said, on every bottle, there'll be a tag. The tag roughly said, we know that this ketchup is going to land on your shirt some way or the other. And for that, you know what they did? With the tag, there was a single-use pouch of surf attached with the tag. This, I think, the most brilliant way of advertising. So let us not have blinkers that advertising only means what you see on TV, what you read in print. Like, you know, Rohit, for example, I've seen you now wearing a jacket right now. And you see
Yes,
me
sir.
wearing a
Yes,
blazer
sir.
right now. And you see me wearing a printed Fab India shirt. Now, I'm advertising to you that I'm a very casual person without having said anything. And you are advertising to me that you've made an effort to kind of, you're a slightly formal kind of a person. But that is the first impression. But that is also advertising. You see somebody wearing sneakers, the kind of sneakers that you wear is also advertising the kind of person that you are. So just keep your ears and eyes open. You will see advertising every bloody where you go. You can't miss it. So the only thing basically I'd like to tell students and to everybody is, don't let that word advertising blinker your thought process. Nature advertises morning advertises its presence by a sunrise, night with sunset. So advertising is all around you. Yes, a TVC, a print ad, social media, all that is different. But essentially the task of advertising is to control and manipulate your behavior. That's what we do. That's what I've been doing for 30 years. Manipulating people. And very proudly so. Agar aapko nahi chahiye kharidne ka, my challenge is to make you buy it. Because that's what I'm getting paid for, no? All right. Agar bole ki nahi yaar, this guy is a thumbs up drinker, I'll say, boss, I am going to change him. I'm going to make him drink Pepsi, which must be a horrible product. Because Pepsi tastes like gulab jamun compared to thumbs up. But I'm getting paid to sell you thumbs up. Now, how I'm going to do it is my job. You might hate me for it later on, but I don't really care. Because at that point in time, aapke haath mein na mere ko thumbs up dekhna hai, Pepsi nahi. Tomorrow, Pepsi might pay me more to sell you Pepsi instead of thumbs up. But so be it. My job will be to dislodge the thumbs up which I put in your hands 1 month ago and replace it with Pepsi. How I convince you is my job. That's what I'm there for. And that's what advertising teaches you. And there is no formal training in the creative aspect of advertising. You either have it or you don't. It's like cricket. It's like acting. It's like music. You need a basic amount of talent in you to be a part of it. Then the skills and the talent has to be honed. That's a different matter altogether. But if you discover that you're a football player and you join and spend 5 years in the nets in Shivaji Park, even Sachin Tendulkar's ex-coach Ramakant Achrekar sir cannot do anything with you. And it's a real story is that Sachin's son is a better football player than a cricketer. So these are the small things. I mean, it starts with aptitude, interest. And one good thing about this course is that it has an exit policy, which Rakesh told me the first time I met him. It's very good that you can decide soon and exit it and choose your true calling instead of wasting 4 years, because that is criminal. For example, I'm an advertising person. You ask me to go and report one story as a journalist. I think there'll be a civil war in the country because of the way I report that story. As simple as that. Because the way I do advertising, I mean, and vice versa. So now it's as simple.
Fortunately, I think, for students in this 4-year program, I believe that because when you get into journalism and mass communication, and under mass communication, there are so many career pathways that a student, once he knows what is his calling, can respond to it in good time. Correct. And move forward in that area. That I think is a good thing. The second thing I'd like to differ a little, very slightly from my friend, because I completely agree with him that, he is relying on semiotics to say that everything communicates. Everything in the world is communicating. It's up to you to understand what it is communicating. Advertising is different from other things because it is deliberate. Everybody may intentionally or unintentionally be communicating, but advertising, in my view, is deliberate.
Yes.
So that's all.
Yeah. Now, anyone else?
Yeah, I think, Giri has to make
Giri,
remarks. What was the question, Rohit? What was the question, Rohit?
No, sir, it was just a opening remark, sir.
Okay.
There was no question yet.
Yeah, I'll quickly introduce myself for those who came in late. My name is Kit Walker, and I'm the 22nd Phantom. Okay. and apart from fighting crime, I used to work in television, and I did that for about 11 years. I worked for CNBC TV 18. I don't know how many of you heard about it. It's a business news channel. Worked for Bloomberg, Star, but I'm sure you have all heard about Times Now. That's where I kind of like the last stint of mine. The thing with television is, this is kind of a cliche, but it's more like a tip of the iceberg, because what you really see is the news anchors and the reporters. But these days, if you watch a news show, some of the channels do that, some of the channels don't. Some of the channels have, like, during news, just a background, right? Some of them keep it open in the newsroom. And you can see so many people going back and forth, and the newsroom is a buzz. There's so much going on, right? So a lot of what I want to emphasize is the most exciting thing about television are the opportunities. It's not just news anchoring or reporting. And if you love it, great. Great, you come to the right place. There's a lot more. How do you really put these shows together? Who does that? There is this fantastic position called a television producer, and it's not an easy one to hold on to, right? You have to be able to write. You have to actually first start with, okay, I have this great concept, and I'm going to give it to the people. To do that, you need to come up with the concept, and you got to flesh it out. That is, like, you write, and you discuss, get an approval, you go out and shoot it, right? So that's another skill. You come back, you edit it, you package it, you run a pilot, or maybe you just say, no, I'm just going to go out and put this out. Okay. So many opportunities out there. And this program specifically, we are looking at television and film production. We're looking at, as you already learned, advertising and public relations, plus marketing communication. We also got journalism. Okay. So if you talk about the three specializations, you got journalism, you got advertising and PR, you got television and film production, right? And the opportunities, I'll keep it just over here. Just wrap up quickly. I'll just talk about maybe generally about the prospects. you go into any organization, what happens is you, first and foremost, you need to be clear about what you want to do, right? If you think this is not really working for you, as Professor Rakesh Katare, as well as Mr. Sarabhan said, that, you have exit options. So don't worry about that. But if you really are keen on this, opportunities are endless in all these three spheres. Plus, there are other modules. Okay, but I won't take too much of the time. I'll rather throw the floor open to the students and answer those questions, because I think that's the best way to take this forward.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think I agree with Giri. You put it very beautifully. I was reading the FICCI report, and the media and entertainment sector in this country has now grown by 24%. Of course, it had, by 16%. It had actually come down by 24%, but it is the fastest to recover, 16% jump. And I think, whether it is advertising or journalism or, television, mainly media and entertainment, if you look at the growth rate, it has always, outpaced and outgunned the country's GDP.
Correct.
The compounded annual growth rate of media industry is always being higher, and one of the highest in India. And it is still growing. We don't really know. Sometimes it is frightening with the coming of, in fact, we were looking at some of the data. The data says that, television and cinema and everybody is making a, huge killing and all that. This after the pandemic. Now, after the pandemic, events also have come back. So this is without events and without some of the sectors which were dependent, like cinema, dependent on pandemic. Now, once they also come back, the growth is going to be exponentially high. So I think, post-COVID, media will continue to occupy center stage in terms of industrial growth. This is a very, very clear prediction, and most of the predictions about media growth over the years have proven to be very, very true, if not underestimated.
So I'll quickly play that video. I think some of them, those who joined late, I'll just quickly play that video about talking about the numbers. It's a very short 15-second one. And then we'll just continue. Okay. I hope everybody can see. I hope everybody can hear.
Yeah.
The audio is not playing.
It's not
playing. Yeah. I think that
while you share, you have to click that option down.
So would it be better if you were to just play that, because
You want me to play that?
I need to find that up. Yeah, please do so. Please do.
You want me to play that?
I'll stop sharing. Yeah, please do so.
Yeah, sure.
So
Okay.
students get a good idea about the numbers. Yeah.
Sure. Just give me a second. I'll play that.
actually the numbers are 1.6 trillion Indian rupees. That is the figure.
In Indian, yeah.
As per the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, the Indian media and entertainment industry is projected to reach $100 billion in the next 8 years, that is 3 times the current value, which means more jobs and opportunities for media students.
Yeah, over to you.
Thanks. I think, Rohit, I want you back to you.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you so much, professors, for sharing such a valuable information. Now it's time to get to our Q&A show. I request all the participants to keep the microphones on mute. You may type your questions in the chat box. I have my own set of questions sent to me by many of our prospective students. So please squeeze in your questions quickly, so as we have a limited amount of time. So let's get on to the show. So my first question is to Professor Rakesh. There are so many mass media schools in this country today. How does a student choose the right one? Like, how does one know which is the best school to join, sir?
I think, it shouldn't be, if you apply your thought, it shouldn't be very difficult. Because essentially, when we are talking about, journalism and mass communication courses, we are trying to pursue a profession, which means these are all professional courses. Now, if you want to tell a good mass communication and journalism school from the other, the first thing you need to look at is who is actually teaching you. Does the faculty consist of, okay, a fair number of faculty members, teachers, professors who have worked in the industry? Okay, so in my view, it's very easy to see if you have a faculty profile which has got number of people, who have worked in the industry, and then they have said that, yes, I've had my innings and I want to come and share my experience. So I think, that is a very, very key determinant for any student who wants to get into journalism and mass communication. If they want to get into research, if they want to get into some other area, that's a different thing. But if they want to pursue a career in media, whether it is advertising, television, radio, newspapers, public relations, and what have you, it is very, very important that you are taught by professionals who are working in the industry or have worked in the industry. I think, that will set any, that will make the decision very, very clear. Okay. There are, however, many institutions, for example, where almost everyone, I would say, where what they do is they do call professionals every now and then, and they will publicize that event, and they will say, look, this person, this editor from this newspaper came and spent time with our students. Now, it is very, very welcome that, colleges are inviting professionals, but a professional coming in and sharing 1 or 2 hours with the students is not going to help the student. The professional should have opportunity to coach the students, to take them through and mentor them through the entire 3 years. Only then, only such a school will be able to do justice to a student's aspiration. So I don't think, if you look at the faculty profile and if you look at who is actually teaching courses and what courses are being taught, you can actually very easily choose your college.
Rightly mentioned, sir. My next question is to Professor Giri.
Rohit,
So
one second. Rohit, there's a question from Atul Reggie George in the Q&A. Let's take that quickly.
So the questions are not visible, sir.
No,
In the
in the
chat
Q&A,
box.
in the Q&A, not in the chat box. There's a Q&A one. Can you see that?
Q&A.
Right at the
Yeah,
bottom.
sir. Yeah.
Atul Reggie George is asking, can we
Yeah.
take advertising after a degree in English?
My question?
Sure, sir. Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, sir.
Who is asking? Atul.
Atul, yeah.
Atul.
Hi, Atul. So you just asked whether you can start pursuing advertising after a degree in English. Of course, you can pursue an advertising with a degree in English, with any degree, even without a degree. All right. But one of the biggest fallacies which used to be there, but not too much anymore, is that you needed to have a very good command over English to be successful or even function in advertising. That is absolutely untrue. What you need, yes, a good command over English helps, but it is not supremely integral. Because no amount of proficiency in English can replace the idea. The advertising idea, whether you're a marketing person in advertising, a creative person in advertising, a media professional in advertising, or a social media professional, unless you have that idea, no amount of Tennyson and Shakespeare is going to save you. Like for all advertising people like me, our guru is Mr. Piyush Pandey, who needs no introduction. He brought back the flavor of regional advertising into India. Piyush's best advertising don't have English. They have Hindi, they have Rajasthani, they have Gujarati. All right. So while English degree is nice to have, it is no guarantee that it's going to make you a great advertising professional.
May I add a little bit to that? What you said, beautifully
Yeah.
said. In fact, I think what happens is when you get into a degree, okay, there are many. If you are being professionally coached throughout for 3 years, what we are essentially trying to do here is take a few rungs off, okay, your climb into the industry, okay, because a person, let's say, of Kailash's experience is teaching you, let's say, he has got 30-40 years of experience. What he is going to do, he cannot transfer everything, but what he will do is he will tell you the most important things in your 60-100 classes, how to get there sooner, which means if you are climbing the ladder without the degree in mass communication, or with a degree in mass communication, the person with mass communication degree will be able to climb higher and faster. That is, if both of them are equal in every other way. So we shorten education, shortens the period, or shortens the height of the climb. That is all I can say.
Oh, one last thing I need to add here
Huh.
is that you could be from any part of India. Your mother tongue could be the only language that you possibly know. Forget even Hindi. If you're from Tamil Nadu, even if Tamil, written, spoken Tamil is the only language you know, so on and so forth, you can still be a supremely brilliant advertising person today. English is good, but not integral and not the be all and the end all, because ideas have no language. As simple as that.
Yes, sir. Furthermore, next we have the question to Professor Giri. Sir, how important are the internships to media students, sir? Like, how do you make internships happen, sir? So your voice is not audible, sir.
Okay, thanks for the question. It's an interesting one. When you go to a media and entertainment industry and you look for a job, right? What usually happens is they won't look at your mark stuff, okay? They will probably give you an assignment, a small one. And what they're going to check is, are you ready for it? Are you ready to hit the road running? Okay. And if you're not, you can be pretty much sure that that was your first and last shot. Okay? Most likely you will, even if you land up, maybe you can probably try it maybe after a couple of years. You may find some success, right? Mostly you get only one shot. Now, how do you make sure that one shot in that one opportunity you convert into a profession, right? So first you need to know what that you should be able to fulfill that assignment, right? And that's the kind of coaching we're going to give you here, because we are people from the industry and we know what is it that you need to do to excel there when they give you that test. So with that coaching you go, and then that internship is going to be the threshold. This is that opportunity for you to show them, look, I have what it takes to be given at the end of my internship, to be asked, would you like to continue working for our organization? If you expect that your prospective employer to ask you that question, would you like to continue working here because we think you're really good at this, right? You need that opportunity. You also need the training. So internship acts as an enabler. It gives you that, it's like that, for the coach to select you for a game, you play this county cricket and you really score 100, and then that, okay, this person may be ready for international cricket, right? Similarly. And as part of a program, internships are built into the program, which means we'll look at where you are, your interests, and based on that, we'll find internships for you. And we'll send you there and give you that opportunity to grab that role, grab that job.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So there's a question from the audience, sir.
Okay.
Simriti. She's asking, what is the scope of journalism and mass communication internationally?
I think Giri, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure. Look, that's like asking this question, is news ever going to die? Are things suddenly going to stop happening around us? If the answer is no, if the answer is things will always keep happening around us, we need people to go to these places and report that and tell us, look, this is happening there and this is going to impact your life, right? So it's not like journalism and mass communication is relevant only in India. I mean, that this question should, I mean, I'm glad you asked this, but, I'm glad that I have the opportunity to clarify it. But, as long as things are happening, as long as the earth is spinning, there's going to be news. And that means the job is going to be relevant and you will have to be there. If that's what you're really interested in, to report it and tell people, look, this is happening.
Absolutely.
I want to add to that. India is already amongst the largest content producers in the world.
Yeah.
It already is there. There is at least 2,500 hours of OTT content alone that is being produced in India, which is being, shown everywhere. Plus, Indians are everywhere, even if you are so bothered about localness. And OTT, in any case, is helping us transcend boundaries. You see a film like Dangal does so well in China. You see, and in addition to that, many people say, London is soon going to be Bhatinda. Okay. There are so many Indians everywhere and very infectious content, I would say. And people are beginning to like. We are watching Chinese cinema, Korean cinema today, which means that the content has to be original. We cannot no longer make or remake, rather, it should be called adapt. But we cannot be a remake industry anymore because the original content is accessible in the language of the audience. And they are able to see any content worldwide and they are able to consume content in their language. And thanks to Malayalam film industry, which started this, where they started to put subtitles. So the first, I think, boundary that was crossed was by Malayalam film industry, which saw that its audience was small. So how do you really maximize the audience? The first thing they started to do is start putting subtitles. And because the quality of the films they made, they started to be consumed in Bombay, Delhi, everywhere. I should tell you, share this. When I went to Shillong, Northeast, and I was talking to many of these people who drive taxis, I asked them, what do you really watch? Most of them said they watch dubbed South Indian films.
Correct.
Okay, on Sony Max. I was surprised, but that is the power now. Once you put the subtitles in, if people are willing to understand and the content looks good, they are willing to consume. And technology is now available where you see even now RRR, for example, or Bahubali earlier, people are beginning to consume good content. And in fact, the Southern film industry has taken rapid strides in maximizing the audience because the hunger to expand the audience was always greater. How do I expand my budgets? How do I really, cut across to maximize my audience across states? They started by putting, Northern Indian Hindi film stars in their films. They started to put one Kannada actor, one Tamil actor, one Telugu actor, one Hindi actor. They tried so many things, and now I think the film industry in Southern India is much more mature than any other industry because they were hungry for audience. And today, with the coming of OTT, I think we have a global market to actually look at, and we are catering to that global market. So nothing is we are global citizens now. We can no longer be confined to one region, one language, or be allowed any barriers that were traditionally seen to be barriers. They are no longer barriers for us. Thank you.
No,
Yes,
just to add to what Rakesh said about the removal of barriers, I'll give you a small, very short example. I think most people know that apart from India, Rajnikant's biggest fan following is in Japan. All right. It's a fact. A couple of years ago, my brother went to Tokyo, and my brother, like all of us, is also a big Rajnikant fan. And my brother's dream, apart from going to Japan, was to watch a Rajnikant film dubbed in Japanese in Tokyo. At that time, there was this extremely popular blockbuster called Muthu. The original film in Tamil was called Muthu.
Yeah.
All right. And that was the first Tamil film to be dubbed into Japanese. It is still running. God knows, after 15 years or so, my brother went to this theater and sat down there and saw Muthu. Now, Muthu, if you have not seen Muthu, is set in a village where Rajnikant, everybody is set in one small village, backward village in Tamil Nadu. All right. And there's a Rahman song, Oruvan Oruvan Modalali. It's a brilliant film. All right. My brother saw the entire thing. It was packed. It was afternoon. There were people from offices who actually had bunked work, and it was dubbed in Japanese. My brother just told me in Hindi, I will just translate English. He said, you know what? For me, it was an aberration, because to see a villager Rajnikant talking in Japanese is an aberration. But that story is so alien to Japanese people, because what happens in a Tamil Nadu village would be alien to what happens in an Assamese village, for heaven's sake, or in a Gujarati village, or in a Karnataka village, for heaven's sake, in South India. Can you imagine a Tamil Nadu village story is still playing in a theater in Tokyo? That is the power of imagery, because it beats all logic.
Absolutely.
It just beats logic.
And not only that, we have today, for example, animation and VFX.
Yes.
It's estimated that we have 900 plus VFX and animation studios, which are actually doing all the, what do they say? The background, what do they say? They are providing the backbone for all the animation and VFX that is taking place anywhere in the world. So the world cinema today is also not being made in one place. Many of these aspects are being outsourced everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So Indian graphic artists and VFX artists are so good that a lot of work that you actually see in Hollywood is being outsourced to India. For example, there was a film called Tangled. Much of that animation was done by Indians, and many of them in India. So I think, the global industry is also opening up. What you do in India is not at all irrelevant. Yes, maybe, in some areas like, where culturally we need to be significant. I mean, we need to know the culture. For example, if you have to report about let's say a section of the people, and some incident has taken place, you need to know the cultural element. You need to understand, if you're, let's say, reporting Jallikattu from India, you need to know the cultural ambience of that place. There, I think we may have, it may be, if we are taking our culture with us over there, and if you're trying to operate and, talk about it today, for example, even a documentary on Jallikattu for Discovery Channel is going to be slightly different from the way you would probably present it for an Indian television channel.
Yeah.
So I think, we need to understand that today there are no boundaries. There are no boundaries, and we can reach out. That is to cut the story short.
Absolutely, sir. So there's the next question from the audience, sir. So they're comparing the DSU syllabus with other university. The question is like, how was CJMC preparing the students to meet the current market demands? The question is to you, sir. Professor Rakesh.
Okay.
To you, sir.
No, I think, from the very beginning, we have looked at professionals. For example, we have in our ranks Professor Krishna, who was a former executive editor of Hindustan Times. We have Giri, who is right here with us. We have the support of people like Kailash Saraban. We have many people from the industry who actually come and handle courses which are designed and delivered, which does not happen in, let's say, in any government university, where there are a lot of, they have their own people, they have their own ways of doing things. We don't want to get into that, but we have been extremely responsive to, the changes in the market. For example, way back in 2015-16 itself, we introduced digital media into our courses. I think at that time, I really looked up all the syllabus and curricula of different universities. Not a single university, at least I could not come across any university which had already had digital media, but we introduced it, and we also got a professional from the industry to come and deliver that. So I think in that sense, in terms of designing the curriculum, in terms of delivering the curriculum, in both areas, we have always looked at professionals. In that sense, our courses and our delivery will always be different from any other college. See, the thing is that some people might say infrastructure is very, very important. I don't think infrastructure is important anymore. Today on the mobile, you can actually shoot and edit your entire film. So technology, infrastructure, these things are becoming secondary as we go forward. What is important is, how do you really tell your story? How do you use video? How do you use text? How do you use language? How do you use and how do you understand the audience and communicate with them? How do you tell your story? For that, you need to have professionals guiding you. And that is where I think, we are very different from others.
So if I may just quickly add, the question was asked by someone called Magnificent. So Magnificent, if you're listening, see, what happens is, what you really need, see, if you look at different colleges, and right, and you're looking at media and communication programs, right, your text, the basic tenets are going to be the same. What will make the difference is, who is going to curate that content and give you the right content? Who will give you that? Someone who's been there, done that, will know what is it that you need to learn to go and be successful. And that is the difference CJMC DSU is making.
Yeah. And also, when we design even our earliest courses, I mean, our program has undergone changes every year. In fact, when we started, we were told you can change the syllabus only once in 3 years. Today, universities are being judged by how many times are you able to change and adapt your, syllabus to the changing needs of a dynamic media industry. You need to be very, very fleet-footed to be able to do that. And also get the right people to do it. It's not just change for the sake of change. The other thing is, for example, journalism. We were the first ones to recognize that you cannot just teach students how to write and send them into journalism. Because journalism involves people. It has to have understanding of our history. You need to have understanding of our society. You need to have an understanding of economics of this country. And therefore, if you really see our courses, we had introductory courses in economics, in contemporary Indian history, in sociology, and philosophy, political philosophy. So a person who's getting into journalism has a very good grounding in how India actually works, how societies actually work, to be able to quickly understand the importance of any event that is taking place on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so that discretion will come only when you're seeped in, the world that you're talking to.
Absolutely, sir. So the next question is from Ms. Harshita. She's asking, can she do post-graduation course in journalism and mass communication without being related to that field? It is to Professor Giri.
Okay, short answer is yes, but here's the catch. Why do you want to spend 4 years of your graduation on something else? If you already set your eyes on journalism and mass communication, why do you want to waste your 4 years and then do it after that? Do it now, because you will be given all the tools that a PG students will get. It's not like this graduation program, this BA program is going to give a short shrift. It's not like we are keeping certain things away that we'll only give PG students. No, you will get all the tools so that you can jumpstart your career. So instead of someone then who goes and does a PG program, you're going to save 2 years and you're going to get ahead of the line. So if you are decided this is what you want to do, don't wait for that. Grab this.
Yeah, I think, they can do post-graduation either in communication and journalism. They can also do MBA, for example. They can do MA in, many other. Now you have under the new education policy, with a minimum number of credits, you can take minors right now, and then you can do post-graduation in something else if you don't like communication. So you can always pursue economics, you can pursue sociology, you can pursue political science, you can pursue management studies, you can do many things now. And that is a very great thing about, the current courses that, today we have a program that has been designed, which is very, very in tune with the new education policy that has been announced by the government of India, which is liberal and which takes into account, the students' changing interests also, not just interests. I think, it is a very good opportunity for students to do courses or to pursue, graduation, undergraduate program, postgraduate programs in today's times, I feel. I think, the past graduates were less fortunate than you guys.
Yes, sir. My next question is to our ad guru, Kailash, sir. Media is a professional field that requires more hands-on experience, right, sir? Like, how do you think universities can deliver hands-on training? Because universities are also expected to do research. So what is your take on it, sir?
Hands-on training is a very open-ended phrase or statement, right? Now, advertising, like a lot of creative fields, is about 70% practice and only about 30% theory, right? It's like acting. It's like cricket. You can be taught in the classrooms about advertising principles and theory, but for 70% of that, you will need to see the best advertising in the world. You will need to immerse yourself in the best ad films, in the best social media films. You need to kind of let that permeate into your soul. For example, if I were to teach you about advertising, I can tell you the basics. What to do, what not to do. All right? What are the slight pitfalls that you need to avoid? And these things that I tell you were pertinent 30 years ago, will be pertinent 30 years hence. But I can't really teach you how to think advertising. You will need to learn from what you see. It's like acting can teach you the basic tenets of acting. It can teach you body language. It can teach you facial expressions, so on and so forth. But today, if somebody is starting off, he or she has to see Ranbir Kapoor and learn something. See Mr. Bachchan and learn something. Or if you're a cricketer, see videos of Sachin, Sehwag, Ricky Ponting, so on and so forth. Because same thing applies to advertising. Books and Kailash Sarabhan can teach you 25 to 30%. 70% is out there in the world. And luckily today, compared to when I started off in advertising, I didn't have the luxury of the internet. All right. I couldn't go to YouTube and see the best of ads for 24 hours and immerse myself in 5,000 very ads of the world. I didn't have that luxury. I had to rely on certain books. I had to rely on videotapes. Today, you have everything around you. Make the most of it. And don't rely on one Kailash Sarabhan to teach you, because Kailash Sarabhan is also learning from you only.
If you were to, let's say, if the student were to come to you and say, sir, I want to really learn, train me hands-on.
Correct.
Because the student is already logged in for about 3 to 4 years, they're doing their degree and they want to learn.
Yes.
How would you, deliver a course in advertising?
No, I will, as I said, if I have three, then this goes to, it doesn't matter whether I have 3 lectures, hypothetically, I have 3 lectures a week or 1 lecture a week. Let's assume I have 1 lecture a week or 15 lectures a week. Doesn't make a difference. My lecture would be ideally, if I'm going to speak about strategy in advertising, for example, because everything starts from strategy. Any advertising has to be based on a plank of strategy. I will then show the students at least 5 examples. I will take a strategy, a business strategy, as a case study, saying that it could be anything. It could be Levi's, it could be Marlboro, any example. I will first tell the student that this was the marketing challenge. This was what the advertising was supposed to do. Now, every advertising is supposed to give you sales. That is a very obvious thing. But I will give you 5 examples of one marketing strategy with 5 different pieces of creative work across medium and how they actually pushed sales and made that product relevant for you. It'll all be in front of you because, as I said, advertising cannot work only on theory. It cannot. It's impossible. If today I have to tell you that whiteness is integral to detergents, that's not enough because there are 50 different manifestations of whiteness. You know, gone are the days of surf, Safedi ki Jankar, tantaran, one thunderstorm happening. Boss, today whiteness, there is off-white, there is bright white, there is dull white. I have to show you 50 commercials only on white. So that is the way it goes, man. You know, and if I was to tell you whiteness in theory, what am I going to tell you? This detergent makes your clothes white. All right. But if your shirt is bright white, you might hate it. You know, so it is not as simple as that. Because everything in advertising, like in movies or whatever, you need to be shown. It has to be demonstrated. What I'm ultimately trying to tell you in one sentence is any form of advertising has to be demonstrated, and even teaching advertising has to be completely demonstrative by nature. If I say something, a theory, I need to demonstrate 3 aspects of it which have been executed. It has to be shown.
How about taking, let's say the institution going to a client and saying that, okay, we are willing to, design the creative for you. You give us your brief. Would that benefit the student?
See, it'll first, as we had a discussion the other day, it will benefit the students because the students are not going to be working on a theoretical project. If we get a client like that, they're going to be actually working on an existing product which already has maybe a history of advertising done by other agencies, or it could be a unicorn, or it could be a new product. That's not important. From the client's point of view, he or she or the company is getting very, very fresh thinking, because these are students who are not exposed to the screw-ups that happen. Their mind is not cluttered. Sometimes the best ideas come from unfiltered minds, with completely virgin minds. And these students are like that. All right. And every client wants ideas like that because every detergent is saying the same thing. Every cola is saying the same thing, boss. But a student might come and say, boss, in all innocence, not even knowing that he or she is giving a path-breaking idea which can change the bloody way people look at soft drinks. He or she might just say in Tamil or Telugu, na Pepsi kudicha adu gulab jamun saapidra mari irukku. Na thumbs up saapta inga valikidhu. But Coke saapta ye dagam vandu adikidhu. What did she say? Pepsi is like gulab jamun, it's too bloody sweet. Thumbs up is too fizzy, it hurts my throat. Coke, no, quenches my thirst. She would have said it, he or she, in all innocence. Ki Pepsi is very sweet, boss. Thumbs up is too fizzy. But look at the gulab jamun analogy. Suddenly you say, man, that is the advertising. All right. Coke will say, do you want, off the cuff I'm telling you, do you want a cola or a glass of gulab jamun? Coke will do that. Pepsi will say, boss, do you want gulab jamun or do you want nails in your throat? Against thumbs up. All started from this one innocent statement made by a girl. So it's as simple as that, man.
And thumbs up might say, are you man enough for this drink?
हाँ, तेरे में मर्दांगी है क्या boss? Pepsi is a pansy, is a wimp's drink. All right, because it's not fizzy enough.
Yeah.
Coke बुड्ढों का drink है. Thumbs up साला जिगर वो गबरू जवान का drink है because आज कुछ तूफानी करते हैं साला. बस. But end of story, same dark, bloody, unhealthy liquid. और कुछ नहीं. And now that we are talking, there's also, okay, this is a casual fun discussion. There are also fights which happen between rum drinkers. You have 3 rum drinkers, no, who are rum and coke drinkers. You bring only 1 bottle of cola, people get violent because there's a rum and Pepsi drinker, there's a rum and thumbs up drinker, there's a rum and coke drinker. Okay, so it's these might be very innocuous small things. A cola is a cola. Bullshit, man. No, Pepsi does not spend hundreds of crores in India for advertising just because a cola is a cola. Thumbs up does not do that. Coke does not do that. In all its jest, it is advertising is a bloody serious business because there are billions of dollars involved. Even the choice of a celebrity, we take at least 3 to 4 months to choose the right celebrity. It is not कि Allu Arvind का film आज hit हो गया तो साला उसको ले लो. Okay, no. We might take Rajkumar Rao instead, who is not even a patch on Allu Arvind in terms of whatever, but he has to suit the brand. A Pepsi brand ambassador cannot be a thumbs up brand ambassador, and so on and so forth. So there's a science to everything in advertising. It might seem like fun, that the shoots in 30 seconds. I keep telling what you mercilessly beep out कि बकवास ad है, उसके पीछे एक science भी है. अब कभी काम करता है कभी काम नहीं करता यार, वो
अलग बात.
कोई guarantee नहीं है वो उसमें.
Okay.
So it's as simple as that.
Yes, sir. That was an amazing example, sir. Well answered, sir. My next question is to our expert, Professor Rakesh. Sir, along with practical knowledge, sir, what more must a student possess to do well in this field?
Depends, because there are many fields. But if you're getting into journalism, I think you need to have a conscience. You need to, because you're basically saying journalism is in very few words. If you are trying to change the society, journalism is perhaps the easiest or perhaps the most accessible way to do it. If you're getting into advertising, again, it could be different. Why are you really getting into advertising? You are trying to sell, you want to increase consumption of goods, increase demand in the economy. You're trying to help the economy in whatever. So I think, the objectives of each industry are very different. And that's the fun of doing mass communication, because there's such a diversity of areas that you can get into, and each one demands a different kind of a temperament. That is what Kailash was talking about. You need to understand, even if you are getting into sport, are you a better footballer or are you a cricketer in your mind? Okay, so that I think becomes very clear when you get into the course itself. When you get into the program and you start going through different courses. Then the thing is that in the opening first 1 or 1.5 years, we actually train students in different areas, so that once they start progressing, they start choosing. Okay, there are specialization. I want to specialize here. I want to specialize here. They can choose as they go along. That is the wonderful part of doing a program now.
1464 9060841464. Okay.
Excuse me. Can you please turn off your mic?
Ali, go on mute. Ali, go on mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well answered, sir. So my next question is to all the panelists, sir.
So one
So
second,
media-
Rohit, sorry. I think Vivek Singh was trying to ask a question. He just wrote, "Good afternoon, sir." I think he's probably asked it now.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is like DSU is providing any practical exposure in journalism, advertising, or filmmaking? This question is. Anyone from the panel can answer it.
I think, Giri can answer that.
Sure, absolutely. Vivek, I'll give you an example from television point of view, okay? Because that's where I was, and that's what I teach. Think about television, right? It's 24/7. That means you can split television into 24 equal parts of 1 hour programming. Mostly television will cater to half an hour programming, or sometimes if it's news, discussions and debates, it'll be 1 hour, right? Let's not go for a 24 or 48. Let's look at 36, right? Aapka bhi nahi, mera bhi nahi, whatever, right? Then we divide it further, and let's say now we look at a half an hour show. So if you look at television, then if you look at a half an hour program, right, you got 48 equal parts. So essentially, you put 48 such blocks, you get a full day's television content. And you take one of those half an hour program, right? And a producer will mostly work on one such half an hour programming. If you, as you go up the ladder, you may be in charge of 4 or 5 different shows in a day. That's a different story. But for ease, for you to help better understand this, you look at one show. And what does that one show contain? You will have to come up with content if it's a weekly programming, it's weekly. If you're looking at entertainment television, sometimes if it's an entertainment channel, you have to come up with content every single day, right? So you're looking at a half an hour programming, you have to come up with content. And then you have to flesh it out, as I said earlier. You have to write a script. There should be a script, right? And that script may involve your voiceovers, which is like voice of God. You don't know who's saying, someone's saying. You may have seen this in shows, like someone's reading out or saying, when we went from this place to that place, blah, 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 blah. The show may be opened by an anchor. So you have to write an anchor link for that person. So you write an anchor link. You're followed by voiceovers, and you have to overlay visuals on top of that, because that has to bear the story out. You're saying something, something's happening, and you have to put visuals on top of that, right? So as a producer, if you're working on this, you come up with this concept, you think about the script, you think about the visuals. If you don't have visuals in the library, sometimes you may use stock footage. You don't have stock footage, you go out and shoot. So you work with the camera crew, you go out and shoot. Maybe you're out traveling for a couple of days, you come back, and you have to package the whole thing. You have to put it all together. You sit with the editor and you put it all together, right? And then you package it, and then you go to the ingest room and you say, look, this is the tape. This story, this half an hour episode has to play out. Mostly it won't be half an hour, it will be 21 minutes, because 9 minutes will be kept for advertisements, okay? So you'll give your 21-minute program tape with 2 separate breaks. So first segment, second segment, and third segment. And you can give the tape and say, this is my show, this is the time it has to go on. So essentially now you have really filtered it down to one show. You've filtered it down to 21 minutes. In fact, 3 7-minute chunks. If you can make these 3 7-minute chunks, sorry, the light's going, 1 second. I'm just going to open the curtain for a quick second.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So until then, you can take a small question.
I think,
from
the student.
He's back.
Sorry. Yeah. So if you.
Yeah, he's
sorry.
back. Okay.
Yeah. So if you can make these 3 7-minute chunks, right? Then you have a television show. Now, to your question, are you going to get that practical exposure? If what we're going to teach you is how to make that half an hour programming. And you do that. And then you go look for your internships, or you apply for a job, and they ask you, can you make a show? Like they asked me when I would look for a job, I said, I've done this, I got a master's in this, I said, stop. You want to work on Get a Life? That's the show I was trying to work on. Send me a script for the show. Think about the stories, flesh it out, so that when you send it, I can send the camera crew out and get them to shoot it. I did that and I got the job. That's what they'll ask you to do. And that's the kind of training we'll give you. We'll help you put a show together. You do that over and over again, you become an expert. not at that level, because it is imperative that you go into the industry, understand time constraints, understand the dynamics of working with a team to be at that level. But you will get that foot in the door.
Yeah. You can actually, I think Rohit has got the links to some of the programs that students have done.
Yeah.
And I think he will post the links right here, and you can copy paste those links and watch some of the works that students have done. It's absolutely professional work. I mean, if you can compare our programs, the television programs, the news programs that our students have done, some of the news stories that our students have done as part of the course, and they put the entire bulletin together. We have posted it on YouTube and other places also. Please watch. And the proof of the pudding is in its eating, right? So watch the program and judge for yourself what could be the practical exposure that the student is going through in this program in our college, that he's able to do so well, and and gives you evidence of what he must have learned. So I think you can, and I think every student who is attending today, prospective student and students, should actually take those links, open those links, and watch the programs. So that will give you an idea, how much of practical exposure in journalism, advertising, filmmaking. You can watch, the short films made by our students. Our students have made campaign films also. Okay, so campaign videos, sort of, using music and, visuals. They've, dabbled with a variety, a range of, genres, and you can actually get a taste of all of those. So I request Rohit to put some of those links on the chat box so that, people can copy paste and, watch them later.
Yes, sir. I'll just do it.
There is one more, question there that was about internships. And I think, in our program, we have not one internship, but multiple internships. In fact, if a student shows the merit and, we say one internship is necessary. Okay, it is essential for you to get a degree here. So one internship we will fix for you in an area of your choice. But if you say, I want to take one more internship, and earlier, Giri was talking about, the purpose of internship. How do you use internships? There's one more way of looking at internships. If I'm confused, I want to get into advertising, I want to get into news, I want to get into maybe television. How do I really know I'm good at, any of these three? So what we have done now is we say one internship will fix for you. You go check out the industry. Do you really like it? Do you think you are good at it? This is where do you want to be there? Or do you say that I'd rather be in, something else? Okay. So when you go on 2 or 3 internships, not just one, but 1 or 2 or 3 internships, what happens is during every semester break, you can look at a variety of industries and then decide where you want to, what you're good at and where you want to be. So I think, internships are the mainstay of the program. In addition to all the professional inputs that you get and hands-on experience you get as part of the program, you also get to do internship, which means you can actually go and test. I mean, whatever I'm learning under, so-and-so teacher, am I able to use that knowledge in the industry when I go? So it's also a way of the student can cross-check what he is really learning and also provide a feedback if there are any gaps so that we can seal it. So that process is a dynamic process. It's always on.
Yes, sir. There's also another question from Mr. or Miss Anonymous. I'm in my second year of BA and I did not take English. Can I still become an editor without having a bachelor's degree in English?
I think, there have been editors from different fields. There have been editors of newspapers who are also from engineering. So I don't think, anything, see, the thing is that if you do journalism course, it is easier for you, but it doesn't mean that, because you haven't done journalism, you cannot be an editor. But it definitely helps if you have done journalism. Look at the reason why I'm saying this is like, when you get into, newspapers, if you want to be an editor, okay, it's not just language that matters. And Kailash has also been saying that about advertising. You need to plan a product. Let's say you want to start a weekend column. Who is that weekend column going to be? How do you write for different audiences? That I don't think an English course will be able to tell. English course will be able to tell you how stylishly, how beautifully you can actually write, use the language. But here, in addition to, writing, you have a target audience, because media does not communicate in a vacuum. It communicates to people, to audiences, and you have different slices of audiences, different types of audiences available to you and different times of the day. The family audience in prime time is not the same as the afternoon audience, for television. So when you are similarly writing, also now that you are looking at digital newspapers, digital news platforms, the same story is written and changed and adapted for different audiences in different day parts, okay, that are available. So knowing English is only one thing, but journalism puts you right there. That is my answer.
Yes, sir. My next question is to all the panelists, sir.
Sorry,
Media.
Rohit, sorry, if I may just add, one of the best things you can do also is, as I said, right, when I was asked to write a script for a show to get land the job, it was important for me to understand the style that show was following. Similarly, if just having a degree in English, as you're saying, right, will, and if you have to be an editor, I hope you meant sub-editor and not thinking about video editing or anything like that. There are different kinds of editing going on, right? There's the kind of editing that you apply for news. There's something called entertainment. There is something you may, and within entertainment stuff, there are different facets. You may look at a travel magazine, travel article. That is a different kind of language. So one of the things I can tell you is, if you have already decided, or if you have setting your eyes or setting your sights on a style, read that kind of content as much as you can. So you can learn from them. What are they writing? How are they writing? Just adding my 2 cents there. Back to you. Over to you, Rohit. Thanks for that.
Yes, sir. My next question is to all the panelists, sir. Media courses open the doors to many career pathways, they say. Is the student spoiled for choice?
Are the students spoiled for choice? I think yes, definitely. Because if you have decided to do mechanical engineering, for instance, you're locked in that. But if you're doing communication, you can go into advertising, which is so diametrically opposite to news. You can actually get into entertainment. You can actually do public relations. You can jump from journalism to public relations also. So I think, they are definitely spoiled for choice.
Yeah. Yes, sir. There's also another question in Q&A box, sir. So is there any master's program for journalism and mass communication? The question is from Shashikala.
Currently, we are not offering it. But I think, what you can do is, we have a 4-year program. Any student who is doing a 4-year program can do 1 year of masters. So that provision is now there. So in DSU, right now, there is no MA in journalism and mass communication.
Yes, sir. Moving on to the next question. Next question is to our charming personality, Professor Giri. What should a student look for when selecting mass media as a career, sir?
It's straight and simple. Any career path you choose, right? First question you got to ask yourself is this what I really want to do? Is this where I see myself 5 years or 10 years down the line? Because if you end up in the industry and you don't love your job, you're going to be very miserable. And also you will, because it's a competitive industry, very competitive, because there are timelines that you need to adhere to and all that, right? And I can tell you from my own experience, it's brilliant. It's very dynamic. It's very exciting. Opportunities are endless, infinite. As I said, what you see on the television screen is not what really happens in the organization. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a big chunk of ice right under that, and a hell lot of opportunities there. So you really got to ask yourself that question: is this what I want to do? I believe the new guidelines, NEP, right, is also tweaked to kind of like assuage these fears, like, okay, what if somebody is not really sure and they want to come and test it out? So which is why there are those 4 exit windows, not really 4 exit windows, 3 exit windows, but I would really say, so you come and look around and see, do the program, and you have this exit window at the end of 1 year. So you feel, well, I've given it a shot for a year. It's not quite working for me. You don't really have to finish your 4 years and lose 4 years. You exit at the end of 1 year and you can continue on. That provision is there for those who are still not made up their minds. For those who have made up their minds, what are you waiting for? That's my question.
Yes, sir. So there's a last question, sir, from mine, as we are running out of time. So the 4th pillar of democracy is media. Like, how can an individual build a career in journalism sector, which are all key aspects he or she should focus on? Anyone from the panel can answer this question, sir.
Giri, you can take that.
Sorry, Rohit. I thought it's gonna be because I finished. Can you ask that again, Rohit? Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The 4th pillar of democracy is media. How can an individual build a career in journalism sector, which all key aspects should he or she focus on?
See, again, so if you look at the program itself, right? That's why we are offering 3 separate specializations. So it's not that you will come out with a generic BA JMC, bachelor's in journalism and mass communication. You will come out with a program that will also say that with specialization in journalism, or you will come out with a degree that says specialization in television and film production. You will also come out with, if you choose advertising, you'll come out with saying specialization in advertising and PR, right? Which is why these specializations are built into it, because mass communication, it's a very generic term. The
question is more about, somebody who wants to get into journalism only. So
only okay.
What are the things that, am I right, Rohit?
Yes, sir. It's very specific to journalism.
Yeah. So I think, one has to understand that, journalism is, or media is the 4th pillar in any liberal democracy. And liberal democracy means, participation in politics. It also means that you need to have freedom. You need to be able to, there should be room for dissent. And most important, I think there should be information. See, information in democracy is very, very important. And dissent also is very important in democracy. Why is it so important? If you look at our electoral system, for example, any party or any coalition which can get, let's say, 30 or 40% maximum of the total number of votes, which is if we have 900 million plus 910 million voters, out of which if we are going to get just say about 40%, let's say, you can actually have a majority in parliament. But it also is true that 60% of the voters have not voted that party or a coalition into power. And those people have not been represented in parliament or assemblies or anywhere. And therefore, there has to be a voice of those 60% also that needs to be heard in order to make decisions. And therefore, media has a duty to stand up against any government that comes to power on behalf of, not on their own, but on behalf of those 60% of people who do not find representation in parliaments and assemblies. So that is where I think, media's role has been defined as the 4th pillar of democracy. It has to hold on to democracy. Democracy has to work. Media has to be the watchdog. And if you want to be the watchdog, you cannot have screaming matches alone. You need to be well informed. You should understand history. You should understand politics. You should understand philosophy. You should have a very good idea of society and economy. And for that, whatever is required, these are the requirements. Plus, you need to be highly ethical. You should have a sense of sharing. You should have a sense of responsibility for your fellow citizens of this country. These are the most important things that make journalism relevant even today. Okay. And that is why we say it is a fourth pillar of democracy. These are the things that you need to have if you want to get into journalism.
Yes, sir. So there's a question from Mohammed. Sir, what are the job opportunities in government sector? He's asking, sir. Basically, in the Department of Media and Broadcasting.
I think, you know, there are plenty because, you know, now, of course, you know, every government and not just government, you know, every company needs to have somebody, every company has got a website, for example. Now, somebody has to manage the content of that website. Every company has to have, brings out a newsletter, they bring out, you know, their own communication, you know, content, and they want to really tell the people what the company is about. So the government also wants to tell the people. So I think, you know, government has its own department. Okay, it has its own media and it has its own apparatus that is put together. They have their own information officers, their own public relations officers, and those opportunities are there. But I think, you know, media, when a person is getting into media, okay, whether it is advertising or public relations or journalism or anything, the thing is that you will be spoiled for choice even in terms of, you know, when you go out. If you know the craft of communication, if you're able to tell a good story, I think there are so many opportunities out there for you that you don't have to depend on government. And one more thing I'd like to say. Today, your mobile and your laptop are two things that will enable you to start a company. How do you do that? All you need to do is tap 10 doors, 10 companies and tell them, I offer my services to take care of the content of your website. I have the expertise to make film for you. So all you need is a mobile which can shoot very well, high definition audio, and a laptop with some software from the cloud. You can take it, edit the film, show it, and be done with it. You are a mobile company when you do a mass communication course. So you can be a very good entrepreneur and job giver. Forget about job, you know, asking for jobs. You can be a job giver. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well answered, sir. As we are running out of time, it's time to conclude the session.
One last thing, if I may, one last thing.
Yeah, sure.
I just, it's general. It's got nothing to do with mass comm or journalism or advertising. This is to every single student out there, and including you, Rohit. All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please make mistakes. Please screw up big time. Because it's much better screwing up for the next 10 years right now and realizing what you're cut out for, all right, in 10 years, rather than realizing 40 years later that you have screwed up and you're almost dying or almost there, all right? Don't be afraid. Okay, today you say that don't box yourself. Somebody might tell you, you might think that, boss, I am going to be a brilliant journalist and spend 2 years learning that. After 2 years, say, boss, I suck at this job, man. I'm a horrible journalist. All right? I might be better in advertising. Boss, no problem. Switch. But don't be scared. You're not married to a single field. All right? Just because you have enrolled yourself for journalism, okay, किसी का बाप तेरे को own नहीं करता कि किसी ने लिख के नहीं दिया कि तू मरते दम तक रिपोर्ट करेगा तू. Same with advertising, same with whatever. Boss, don't be worried. Don't be scared. Please screw up. But screw up right now and give yourself a timeline. Ki, boss, till this time, I have to screw up. And by all means, if you don't screw up, there's something very, very wrong with you. Yeah, that's very wrong with you.
Which is, I'd like to add also why we offer 3 separate specializations.
Correct.
Not just journalism. We got advertising and PR.
Once you have a good sweep about over 4 or 5 areas, then that switch becomes less painful.
Yeah. So we will expose you to all these areas. You can choose. You have 4 years.
Very true.
And by the end of the second year, you will be ready to specialize, and we'll give you that. And so you have those windows to decide and make mistakes, as Sir said.
Yes, sir. Well said, sir. The ad guru has given a very important and very good note. So we shall follow that. So it's time to conclude as we are running out of time. So a big thank you to our panelists and special thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor for making time for today's webinar, and Sri Srinivas Sinde, CMO DSU, for organizing this important series on career counseling. Most important, a big thank you to you all. So we invite you to visit Dayanand Sagar University campus and meet the current students and faculty members to know more about us. And we shall leave you with some important sampler of our student works in the chat box. You can go check it out and hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
All the
Thank you,
best.
sir.
God bless. All the best.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Shinde, sir.
the best.
Rohit.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Thanks a
you very
lot,
much.
Giri.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Rajesh,
sir.
sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you, Mr. Kailash. Good to
Thank
see
you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.